प्रातः स्मरामि हृदि संस्फुरदात्मतत्त्वम् सच्चित्सुखं परमहंसगतिं तुरीयम् यस्वप्नजागरसुषुप्तमवेति नित्यम् तद्ब्रह्म निष्कलमहं न च भूतसङ्गः वपुस्तुषाद्भिः कोशैः युक्तं युक्त्यापघाततः आत्मानमन्तरं शुद्धं विविच्यातण्डुलं यथा सदा सर्वगतोऽप्यात्मा न सर्वत्रावभासते बुद्धावेवावभासेत स्वच्छेषु प्रतिबिम्बवत् देहेन्द्रियमनोबुद्धिः प्रकृतिभ्यो विलक्षणम् तद्वृत्तिसाक्षिणं विद्यात् आत्मानं राजवत्
स्मरामि हृदि संस्फुरदात्मतत्त्वं सच्चित्सुखं परमहंसगतिं तुरीयम् यत्स्वप्नजागरसुषुप्तमवेति नित्यं तद्ब्रह्म निष्कलमहं न च भूतसङ्गः The topic that we are studying is why discriminative self-analysis segregate. Understand the difference between the self and the non-self. Through discrimination, through analytical discrimination, segregate. Stage number 1 is to hear from the Shastras that there are two, the self and the non-self. Having heard from the Shastras that there are two, the self and the non-self, we use our thinking, we use our discriminative ability, we use our understanding to separate the two. Separating the two, segregating the two, the self and the non-self. The critical portion, the critical part in spiritual evolution is doing this discriminative self-analysis. That is why 85% of the Shastras, 85% of the Shastras is dedicated to this portion of discriminative self-analysis. Hearing it will not give you a conviction. Hearing from the Shastras will not give you a conviction. Only through reflection you will develop a conviction. Hearing from the Shastras, listening to a guru will help you to parrot, will help you to repeat, but no conviction in what you are saying. There will not be a conviction in what you are saying. How do you understand that? The simplest way, after listening to the class, you talk about the philosophy to any of the person known to you, they will laugh at you. Because they say, what you have learned from the class, 10 minutes later, I will come to know your real nature. What all you have heard from the class, don't offload it, because in the 10th minute, your real nature will start expressing, will start manifesting. Why? The conviction has not yet come. Now, how do you bring about this conviction? Discriminative self-analysis. Since Shastras is aware of this difficulty, what they have done is, enormous portion of the Shastra is dedicated to this analysis. Second, what they do, they repeat the analysis again and again. They repeat the analysis again and again, because it is through repetition you develop a conviction. You have to tell the child, money is important, money is important, money is important. Unless you go on repeating it and drumming it in the child will not understand the importance. You can't say, I told you once, that's it. From now on, you have to do it by yourself. The child will not be able to do it. Therefore, what the Shastras do, they analyze. Not only they analyze, they repeat the analysis. This process is called manana. Analyzing it once and repeating the analysis over and over and over till you develop a conviction. What is the conviction? Mumukshatva is the conviction. Out of Shravana develops the conviction for Manana. Out of Manana develops the conviction for Mumukshatva. Mumukshatva is, I have understood what the Shastras are saying, but not yet experienced it. So you start longing for that experience. Number two, it's not just a simple longing for that experience. You are ready to pay the price for that experience. Number three, it is not just ordinary longing. It is not just willing to pay the price. You don't look for any shortcuts. You don't ask for any shortcuts. As a mumukshatva. So, Shravana develops the conviction for Manana. Manana develops the conviction for mumukshatva. And what is mumukshatva? Not looking for any shortcuts, willing to pay the price. For what? For what? For what you have already developed a conviction. I am very convinced that money is important, sir. Now you are convinced to do anything to acquire it. 30, 40 years also you will spend acquiring it. Even after acquiring for 30, 40 years also, still you feel it's not. Still you feel it's not enough. Maybe you should have at least one more digit has to be added. 7 digits na 8 digits. 6 digits na 7 digits. 7 digits na 8 digits. One more has to be added. One more has to be added. Not one rupee, yeah? One digit. Because every additional digit gives you the safety. What is the safety? Even though it is not completely enough, I am still okay, better off. So once you have developed the conviction, you will be ready to pursue that. This is the topic. By discriminative self-analysis, segregate the two. What are the two? The self and the non-self. What is the non-self? The Sanskrit word for non-self is anatma, which he has already described. The panchakoshas, the three bodies, the 5 elements, avidya, all that anatma has been defined already. So you know what the non-self is. You know what the non-self is. Now, having known what the non-self is, you compare and contrast. This is the non-self. Opposite of that is the self. Anatma and atma. This is the vichara. This is the inquiry that we are. Doing. To help us in this inquiry, what Shankaracharya has done, he gives a lot of examples. This is where we are currently in Atma Bodha. And we continue with verse number 17. Continue with verse number, I think 16 varaikku mudichittom nenikiren. Yeah, we go on to verse number 17. Verse number 17 reads, Sada sarvagatopiatma na sarvatrava bhasate buddha veveva bhaseta swacheshu pratibimbavat. Sada sarvagatopiatma na sarvatrava bhasate buddha vevava bhaseta swacheshu pratibimbavat. Though always all-pervading, Atman, self is not manifest everywhere. It manifests only in the intellect, like reflection in an immaculate surface. Having described the Anatma, he is going to describe the Atma and compare. One of the features of the Brahman, one of the features of the Atma, the self that he is giving is all-pervading. Though always all-pervading. Though always all-pervading, is not manifest everywhere. Avabhasate. It is not manifest everywhere. Why it is not manifest everywhere? Because there is no reflecting medium. Why it is not manifest everywhere? Because there is no reflecting medium. Just as in the space, though there is light, there is nothing to reflect the light. You see, you feel as though there is no light. Between you, okay, yaarlam camera on panni vechirukalo, understand it. Between you and the camera, there is a light. Yeah. Between you and the camera, there is a light. Kaiya vecha, you see the light. If you take the hand away, you don't see the light. Though light is present, you don't see it. It is not cognizable. Why? Because for you to recognize the light, you need something to obstruct the light. For you to know that there is light, you need something to obstruct the light. Because when something obstructs, the light is perceived. Actually, you don't perceive the light. You only perceive the light. You only perceive the object. When you are perceiving the object, you understand that you are able to perceive the object because of the light. Similarly, whenever you experience perception, action, emotion, thought, though you experience only perception, action, emotion, and thought, You understand that it is all because of the all-pervading consciousness. And what is the reflecting medium? What is the reflecting medium? The reflecting medium here, he says, is the individual. The buddhi, he uses the word, he is using the word intellect. It manifests only in the intellect. It manifests only in the intellect, like reflection in an immaculate surface. Reflecting medium is pure, reflection is pure. Reflecting medium is dirty, reflection is dirty. If the reflecting medium is dull, sometimes you have mirrors, no? Where it is all like so foggy. You see something, but still you don't. You see something, but still you don't see anything. Yeah. You stand in front of the mirror and try to shave, you will be, after coming out, your whole face will be wet with blood because you really don't know. The reflecting medium is not. If the reflecting medium is clear, the cognition is clear. If the reflecting medium is dull, the cognition is dull. No reflecting medium, no reflecting medium, no cognition. As in the deep sleep. As in the deep sleep, no cognition because there is no reflecting medium. When the medium is covered with dust or when disturbed, reflection is also relatively, not relatively, it has the, if it is dusty or if it is shaky, the reflection also will be shaky and disturbing. The reflection also will be shaky and the reflection also will be disturbing. If the mirror is constantly moving, you don't see a clear reflection. In the clear water, you can see the reflection. If the water is muddy, you don't see your reflection clearly. Similarly, the agitated mind, the disturbed mind will not have a clear cognition. Here understand, cognition means conviction. Cognition means intellectual understanding. Don't understand cognition here means experience of Brahman. Intellect cannot experience Brahman. That's why I started with a brief introduction. Here cognition means, what cognition means here is not anubhava, experience, it is a conviction. When the mind is agitated, disturbed because of lot of desires and worries and anxieties and insecurities, cognition of the self is very poor. If the mind is rid of desires, not so agitated, not so anxious, not so worried, more secure, the conviction is better. In that sense, you have to understand. Therefore, what is it? It is all-pervading, but recognition of it needs a clear surface, clean surface. By the combination of Karma Yoga and Shravana Manana, you are only clearing it. Okay, sir, clear surface is okay, cleaning and all is okay, but how, what is it that actually happens? The process of Shravana Manana with Karma Yoga is the cleansing process. When that two is done, what happens? The reflecting medium is clearer and clearer. When the reflecting medium is clearer and clearer, the conviction about the self becomes better and better. finally culminating in the direct anubhava, the direct experience of God realization, self-realization. Finally culminating in that. But here he has not yet gone to the culminating point. He is sticking to the point of, understand, we are only discussing discriminative self analysis. Always understand, don't miss it. Discriminative self analysis means trying to develop a conviction. A person who has developed the conviction can ask for anubhava. A person who has not developed the conviction cannot ask for experience. A person who has developed the conviction alone can ask for experience. And a person who has developed the conviction becomes an Upanishadic student. A person who has developed the conviction is the Upanishadic student. So here what are we discussing? Trying to develop the conviction. What makes the reflecting medium disturbed or dirty? Preoccupations with the world. As long as world is your priority, you will have an unclear, dirty reflecting medium. As long as world is the priority, as long as better life is your priority, as long as something from the world is still tempting, something from the world is very important, it appears to be so, the reflecting medium will continue to be shaky, dirty. Therefore, what is he suggesting? The all-pervading consciousness which you can recognize and become that, the all-pervading consciousness which you can recognize and become that, you are not recognizing and becoming that because of the wrong priorities, because of you getting involved in the, because of your preoccupations in the world. Are you okay till now? Now, preoccupation means priorities. Preoccupation means priorities. If this class is my priority, 24/7 I'll be thinking about the class. If class is my priority, 24/7 I'll be thinking about the class. So, constant thinking is an indication of where your priority lies. Yeah. Please don't tell anybody. Yeah. Don't tell anybody. Don't discuss your priorities with anybody. Understand it for yourself. And the suggestion of Atma Bodha is change. Shankaracharya is not asking you to change. The reflecting surface is muddled. The reflecting surface is shaky. It's dirty. Why? Because it is preoccupied with the, it is preoccupied with the world. And what is the preoccupation? Another word for preoccupation is priorities. Another word for preoccupation is priorities. Another word for priority is sentence or word varadinu. Another sentence for priority is where your thoughts are constantly circling. It won't come out of that circle. Wherever you go, whatsoever you do, your thoughts are circling about a few. About some objects, about some being, about some achievements, or about the missed opportunities of the past, whatever be it. But the mind is constantly circling around it all the time, all by itself, not directed by the intellect, not objectively, analytically done. The mind itself is traveling there. This is called, this state is what is known as the reflecting medium is muddled, shaky. You can call it muddled, you can call it dirty, or you can call it shaky. Dirty we feel very bad, we can say shaky. It doesn't matter what word you use. Reflection is not, there is no clarity. That's what the conclusion is. Having said that, how do you reverse it? Reversing the process, we know what is reversing the process. Shravana, Manana, Karma Yoga. That's all. These are the two things that is going to reverse the process. I want to do Karma Yoga, sir, but there is no opportunity I am having. Since you are talking about Karma Yoga, you give me Karma Yoga. Yeah. Punishment for saying do Karma Yoga is you have to create karma and give. You follow? Shastra is saying do Karma Yoga. Your argument is I am ready to do Karma Yoga, sir, but there is no opportunity to do Karma Yoga. Therefore, you give us Karma Yoga. Now, what Karma Yoga I can give? I can only say, come and clean my house. All of that. What Karma Yoga what Karma Yoga? For Karma Yoga is an attitude. Karma Yoga is changing the attitude in your action. Karma Yoga is changing the attitude in your action. Number one. Number two, Karma Yoga is nothing but constant cleaning. Karma Yoga, what is Karma Yoga? Constant cleaning. In the kaila dusting cloth, in the kaila dusting cloth in one hand and the gun in the gun in the gun illa, no, the spray gun. In the other hand, keep constantly. Karma Yoga is nothing but constant cleaning. Not an obsession with external cleaning. Yeah, not an obsession with external. There are so many people who needs medication, who need psychiatric treatment because of their cleanliness. Yeah. We have to tell them it is okay, get dirty. Yeah, because it's okay, because it's known as, what is it? OCD. That can't. As it is, they are washing their hands 20 times in a day. Now, you call anybody, they say, wash your hands first. Wear the mask, you feel like you don't even feel like not calling anybody. Not saying be that. Now, what is Karma Yoga? An awareness and discomfort with dirt. An awareness and discomfort with dirt. And what is the dirt? Mala. What is the mala? What is the mala? Ignorance is the dirt. What is the dirt? Ignorance is the dirt. And what is ignorance? What is ignorance? Who are you? Naketa, you will know. Supposing if I ask you, who are you? The answer you give says you have a lot of dirt. When Govinda Bhagavad Pada asked Adi Shankaracharya, who are you? He said, what did he say? Govinda Bhagavad Pada asked Shankaracharya, who are you? He gave an answer. What is the answer? What is the answer? Aham nirvikalpo nirakara rupo chidananda rupaha shivoham Shivoham. Who are you? Na? Adu solnu. Then the dirt is. Yeah. Otherwise, if a neighbor asks who are you, na, don't start. Neighbor asks who are you, na, say your name only. Yeah. Supposing Aparna calls me. I don't know who Aparna is. I didn't know. Huh? And she calls me and I ask her, who are you? Chidananda Rupaha Shivoham Shivoham. No, I will cut the call immediately. At least I am not a Govinda Bhagavad Padacharya. I know that. So I will cut the call immediately. So what does it mean? What is ignorance? The dirt. What is ignorance? The dirt. The thoughts constantly circling towards something, making it your priority, and you can't conceive of letting go of it. And you can't digest the fact that you have to let go of it. You can't accept the fact that you have to let go of it. You can't accept the fact that you have nothing to do with it. That is ignorance. That's what ignorance is all. You can't conceive that I need to let go of it. I have to let go of it. I have nothing to do with it. When the intellect through this process of Shravana, Manana, Karma Yoga becomes clearer and clearer, in verse number 17, he says, it manifests in the intellect like reflection in an immaculate surface. What is that immaculate surface? Clean. No, it's not dirty. It's not shaking. It's neither shaking nor is it dirty. To the extent the dirt is removed, to that extent the reflection is clear. To the extent the dirt is removed, to that extent the reflection is clear. What is the reflection getting clearer means? From na asti, you say asti. From saying it is not there, you keep saying, yes, it is there. It is there. You may not be able to articulate it. You may not be able to explain it. You may not be able to put it in words, but deep inside you, something in you keeps telling you, continue in this direction, continue in this direction, continue in this direction. This is called reflection in an immaculate. This is called reflection in an immaculate surface. Though it is all pervading, you can cognize it only when you have a clear reflecting medium. And what is the clear reflecting medium? The clear reflecting medium is your own intellect. Not borrowed intellect, not another person's intellect. This is also very important. What is the reflecting medium? The reflecting medium is intellect. Whose intellect? For every one of you, your own. For every one of you, it is your own intellect. For it reflects only in your intellect. For reflection to happen, have you ever observed that more and more shinier the matter is, the reflection happens? More and more clearer, more and more shinier, the reflection happens. Okay. I have a piece of cloth. In this piece of cloth, I keep it in front, no reflection. I have a book. When I look at the book, there is no reflection. In the screen, when I switch it off, not now. In the screen, when I switch it off, there is something there. In a mirror, it is clear. Though matter is everywhere, reflection is possible only when it is rubbed and cleaned with the help of Shastras. Only when it is cleaned with the Shastra, the reflection becomes clear. A person who doesn't come in contact with the Shastra at all, or who has ashraddha towards the Shastra, if either a person doesn't come in contact with the Shastra, or a person would have come in contact with the Shastra, but he will be having lot of ashraddha in them, the reflecting surface is so poor that they will not be able to recognize it. A person who has come in contact with the Shastras and developed this clarity would be able to see it, clearly, precisely. In your own intellect, it has to be clear. It can't become, you can't see the reflection everywhere. Can't see the reflection everywhere. You can see it only in the clear reflecting. You can see it only in the clear reflecting medium, and that clear reflecting medium is what? With that clear reflecting medium, you see everything. And what is that clear reflecting medium? Buddhi, the intellect. Buddhav, in intellect. Buddhav means in intellect. It, though always all-pervading, means it can never be captured, it can never be contained. Though always all-pervading means it can never be captured, it can never be contained, it can never be put into compartments. Therefore, it is always all-pervading, not manifest everywhere, because you stand in front of the piece of cloth, you will not see a reflection. You stand in front of a notebook, you will not see a reflection. You stand in front of the wooden piece, you will not see a reflection. You stand in front of the mirror, you see a reflection. But you are present all the time. You are present all the time. You are always there. But for reflection to happen, you need a specific, a particular medium alone can reflect. What is that particular medium? Intellect is that particular medium. And that particular medium also has to be clean. And that particular medium also has to be clean, clear. What is clean and clear? Through the Shastric knowledge. And what is Shastric knowledge? Two things. Shravana Manana and Karma Yoga. Shravana Manana and Karma Yoga. The two pedals. The two pedals. Shravana Manana, Karma Yoga. Shravana Manana, Karma Yoga. By these two disciplines, the reflecting medium becomes clearer and clearer. Then you recognize the all-pervading Atman. This is verse number 17. Now, we move on to verse number 18. Verse number 18 reads, Dehendriya mano buddhihi prakrtibhyo vilakshanam tadviddhi sakshinam vidyat atmanam rajavatsada. Dehendriya mano buddhihi prakrtibhyo vilakshanam tadviddhi sakshinam vidyat atmanam rajavatsada. One should understand the self, Atman, to be distinct from the body, senses, mind, intellect, vasanas, and always a witness of their functions like a king. One should understand. It's a command, it's a vidhi, it's a law. One should understand, you should understand artham. One should understand, whoever that one is, that they should understand. What they should understand? Atman is distinct and different from body, senses, mind, intellect, vasanas. Dehendriya mano buddhi prakritibhyo vilakshanam. Dehendriya mano buddhi prakritibhyo vilakshanam. Tat viddhi, know that what? Atmanam Rajavatsada. Atman is like a king. Previous verse, Atma what is attribute? What is the attribute of the Atma in the previous verse? What is the attribute of self? Atman, Brahman in the previous verse. Always all pervading. Always all pervading. In this verse, another property. What? Sakshinam, like a king. Here, the attribute of Brahman is Sakshi. In the Atma Anatma comparison, are you able to follow how he is comparing the Atma to Atma and Anatma, the self and the non-self, the self and the non-self. Now, what is the self? Okay, what is the non-self? Dehendriya mano buddhi prakritibhyaha. That is the non-self. What is the self? Atmanam Rajavatsada. Like a king. What is the king? It's a Sakshi. Sakshinam. The king owns the entire country. The king owns the entire country. And still there will be individual owners also owning a particular thing. A king is the owner of the entire country, but still there will be an individual owner. When Rama is the king of Ayodhya, it is his country. His country na motta country ka avargitta patta irukadhu. His country na motta whole country he will not be having the document registered in his name. Still there will be an individual owner only. Still there will be so many individual owners owning 1 bedroom flat, 2 bedroom flat, individual villa, individual thing, maybe a small town, maybe there will be individual owners. He is the king. He is the king. Are you able to understand what a king is? He is the Sakshi. He is the owner, the Sakshi. Owner, owning everything, but doesn't claim anything. The king need not put a case against one of the subject saying, this subject took away my land. The government land one, private land one. The distinction. All are one whole insanity is the norm. What is the king? Who is the king? He is a Sakshi. Now forget the king. Don't get carried away by the example of the king. What is the second attribute of Atman that he is bringing in now? Though always all pervading, it is Sakshi. Kama potinde varno. Body, kama mind, kama intellect, kama vasanas nu potnu vara madri. Anatmaku, what all we put? For Atma, we have to put always all pervading. Now, Raja Vatsada. Understand the self to be different from the body. Deha, Indriya, Mano, Buddhi. Understand them to be different. Vilakshanam. Vilakshanam means distinct, different. Consciousness is Vilakshanam. What is distinct? What is the Vilakshanam here? Consciousness is the Vilakshanam. Consciousness is that which is distinct and different. Different than body. Different from Deha. Deha is a very beautiful word. The Sanskrit word Deha is very, very beautiful. Two meanings to the word Deha. Two meanings it has. One meaning is that which can be decorated, smeared, washed is body. Dihyati iti deha, dahati iti deha. Dahati iti deha na adavadhu puriyirudha? Dahati iti deha na enna artham? Dahati na that which will be cremated one day is deha. Dahati. Adanalada adukku per. That is why it's called Dahana Kriya. Yeah. Dihyati iti deha, dahati iti deha. Two meanings for the word deha. Understand deha means these two. What is that? First one. As long as it is alive, you have to keep it cleaning and cleaning and cleaning. Yeah. Madras மாதிரி ஊர்ல இருந்தா மினிமம் 2 வாட்டியாவது க்ளீன் பண்ணும். கார்த்தால ஒரு வாட்டி cleaning வரும் இல்லையா? Not only cleaning it, you have to decorate it. Yeah, அப்படியே இருந்தா it doesn't look that thing. You have to decorate it இல்லையா? இதான் decoration. கிளாஸுக்கு வரதுக்கு முன்னாடி நல்லா ஷேவ்லாம் பண்ணிட்டு you have to come on, you have to decorate it. So deha is that which gets dirty and which has to be cleaned. So that which has to be cleaned constantly, that which has to be decorated, and that which has to be clothed is deha. The Sanskrit word deha has so many meanings. The second meaning iti na the root. Idella the grammar roots la varum. Dahati iti deha. Dahati means that which will be okay, clean பண்ணீனே இருந்தோம்னா okay, you are cleaning and keeping it fresh and alive and alive and alive. Will it be like this all the time? No. One day it will be cremated. So இருக்கிற வரைக்கும் you have to make a lot of effort to keep it clean, and one day it has to be cremated. Decorated, sorry, cleaned, always nu potukonga. Cleaned, decorated, clothed, cremated is body. இதை விட நெகட்டிவா, இதை விட பெசிமிஸ்டிக்கா you can't define. இதை விட நெகட்டிவா பெசிமிஸ்டிக்கா you can't define the body. Why can't you see the good? Why can't you see the positive things also in it? Shankaracharya says, if there is anything positive, show me. If there is anything positive in the body, show me. There is something that is positive which you are not seeing, which I am telling you to see. Are you able to follow? There is something positive in the body which you are not seeing, which I am asking you to see it. What is it? Like the Raja like the king, the Brahman is sitting, witnessing the functions of, like the Raja, Brahman is witnessing the functions of what? Indriya, Mano, Buddhi, Prakriti. In the presence of the king, everything happens. In the presence of the king, everything happens. If the king is going to come, 1 week of cleaning will start, no? If the king is going to come, 1 week of cleaning will start. If the king is living there, it will be, 100 பேர் will be cleaning it all the time. I was seeing one of the documentaries on the Rashtrapati Bhavan, where the king lives, as it were, where the president country lives. Yeah. The Discovery Plus, there's a very beautiful documentary. I just wanted to know how many servants are there to keep that place clean. Because everything is constantly shining. Everything is constantly shining. So, in the presence of the king, everybody works. And the king is witnessing it, as it were. Witnessing it. What is the witness? I'll come to that. What is king witnessing? I'll explain later. First is, you have to understand the various functions. What are the functions? Dehendriya Mano Buddhi Vilakshanam. Idallam the functions. Self is a witnessing. Previous verse we said clean. Previous verse we said clean. In this verse, one of the methods for cleaning, Sakshi. Previous verse we said clean, clean, clean. One of the methods of cleansing. There are very many methods by which you can clean. The first method he is giving here is, whenever they give the attribute of Atman, the practice is also that. How does the buddhi become sharp and clear? By practicing Sakshinam. By practicing witnessing. What is Sakshi? What is Sakshi? Witness, witness is the English word. What is witnessing? Uninvolved, unbiased witness of an activity is Sakshi. Correct? Huh? Uninvolved, unbiased witness of what is happening is Sakshi. What is involved bias? What is involvement and bias means? Uninvolved bias witnessing is Sakshi, means instruments are functioning. I have nothing to do with it. Involvement means I am that. Don't get frustrated. Huh? Yeah, don't get frustrated. Because throughout, I think, I don't know whether I said in the previous class or the couple of sessions back. Throughout this is what is going to be the discrimination. He will be giving one attributes and help us in this to arrive at this discrimination. Sakshi. What is Sakshi means? Uninvolved, unbiased, disinterested. Uninvolved, unbiased, disinterested is Sakshi. Opposite of that is interest. Opposite of that is having an interest, having a bias, getting involved. The king is one who witnesses. Rajavat Sadha. What is the practice of cleansing here? The practice of cleansing here is wherever possible, not wherever possible. Always practice this Sakshi Bhava. Always practice this Sakshi Bhava. And how do you practice this Sakshi Bhava? Two analytical methods. How do you practice this Sakshi Bhava? Two analytical methods by which you practice witnessing. What are the two analytical methods by which you practice Sakshi Bhava? The first analytical method is subject-object discrimination. SRL Shankar. Notes king. Practicing witnessing. Practicing witnessing. Only in this context, we will be defining all that goes into witnessing, Sakshi. What is practicing witnessing means? By two analytical process, you practice witnessing. What are the two analytical process by which you practice witnessing? The first one is the subject-object. The subject-object discrimination. The second method is Neti. Subject-object, Neti. Now I'll explain both. When I say I'll explain both, we have heard it in different contexts. In Atmabodha, he puts everything in a sequence. Now, what is the subject-object analysis? That which is experiencing is the subject. That which is experienced is object. That which is experiencing is subject. And the ing D nalla teliva sollikonga. That which is experiencing is subject. That which is experienced is object. This formula. This is the formula. In the process of analysis, the subject object keeps changing. In the process of discriminative analysis, the subject and object keeps changing. The world is the object, the senses is the subject. Senses become the object, mind becomes the subject. Mind becomes the object, intellect becomes the subject. Intellect becomes the object, Brahman is the subject. We have done this analysis any number of times, still we will do it, don't worry. We have to do it. It's not that we have done it once and we I know it, sir. Yeah. என்ன மியூட்ல போட்டா ஆகணும் நீங்க அவ்வளவுதான். என்ன மியூட்ல போட்டுதான் ஆகணும். இவர் அனாலிசிஸ் ஆரம்பிச்சிட்டாருன்னா put sir in mute வேணா போட்டு உட்கார்ந்துருக்கலாம் அவ்வளவுதான். But the analysis will be repeated again and the analysis will be repeated again and again and again. What is it? The object of experience, the instrument of experience. The object of experience, the instrument of experience. My book. I will not say I am the book. Subject and object. My house. I will not say I am the house. So I am the subject experiencing the object. So what is discriminative analysis now? What is practicing? How do you practice witnessing here? Let me find out who is the real subject experiencing all this. One. Why the subject-object experience is very important is because whatsoever happens to the object will not happen to the subject. Whatsoever happens to the object will not happen to the subject. Or whatsoever is happening to the object is happening to the subject. Now what does it mean? The subject has become the object. Are you able to follow? You go, you can have a full lunch and not feel hungry and understand the child is hungry. And understand the child is hungry, but you are not hungry. So what happens to the object should not happen to the subject. Then only the perception will be clear. If what is happening there happens here means the perception, the understanding is unclear. Are you able to follow what is witnessing? How this how the subject-object discrimination helps practicing witnessing. Who is the subject? And whatsoever happens to the object need not happen to the subject. Your child may be going through a surgery, but your stomach is not cut open. You understand that, but then there is a, what is it? You understand that you and that are distinct and different. How can you understand you and that are distinct and different? Only when you only through this process of discriminative analysis, when you come to identify what is the real subject. Who is the real subject? After doing this analysis of the subject and object, what do you do? After this discrimination, what do? You bring in neti, neti, neti. You bring in neti. What is neti? Temporary will be temporary. I should not expect it to be permanent. Temporary will be temporary. I should not expect it to be permanent. Is the neti. Atmanam Rajavatsada. Practice witnessing. The self is a witness of all activities. Witnessing can happen only when you identify with the real subject. If you have become that, you cannot witness after that. That is why people ask, how do I practice witnessing, sir? I'm not able to be a witness. I'm not able to practice witnessing. Sakshi Bhava is not coming. For Sakshi Bhava to come, you need to, through this discriminative self-analysis, keep identifying with the real subject. Identify with the real subject. How to experience the experiencer? That is not possible at all. You can only become that. It comes right up to that. Are you able to follow? We say, senses is, the world is, the world is the object, senses is the subject. Senses is the object, mind is the subject. Mind is the object, intellect is the subject. Intellect becomes the object, Brahman is the subject, and the ultimate subject, the true subject, the real subject can never be experienced as an object again. So witnessing takes you right up to the last point. For the experiencer can never be experienced as an object. That's where people ask how to experience. Experience of Brahman eppadi irukum? Experience of God realization, how it will be? It cannot be known, because you can describe something only if it is an object of experience. Description is possible, understanding is possible only if it is an object of experience. If it is the true subject which is experiencing, can never be experienced, because then then that becomes the then that becomes a subject, then that becomes a subject. Yeah, adu konjam vicharam pannungo. Yeah, do some very interesting, very interesting, but do it to yourself mentally. Don't tell anybody that you are doing all this. Yeah. If you tell this to your partner, I am doing this analysis, say, they will think there is something. They will think there is something psychologically wrong with you. You are all right, no, till now. Who is the subject now? You know, I know. Where is the difficulty? Atmanam Rajavatsada. Practice. King Brahman witnesses. That's what he says. Brahman witnesses. If you have to become Brahman, what you need to do? You need to practice witnessing. And how do you practice witnessing? Get detached. How do you get detached? Drop it. How do you drop it? Question remains the... Are you able to follow? The question still remains the same. How do you practice witnessing? Get detached. Correct, sir. Answer. Still the question is the same. How do you get detached? Detachment theriyada. Drop it. Correct. Again, how to drop it? Adella theriyadu. Drop it. Simply, I don't know how to teach you how to drop it. Simply drop it. Adella syllabus lo solli kudukala. Simply drop it. How do you drop it? By discriminative self-analysis, shifting the subject and object. Shifting the subject and object means, if senses are to be, if you are able to say my senses, it means subject object have entered. Are you able to follow? Where does the subject object distinction comes in? Whenever you say mine, my book, my house, my body, my mind, my intellect. My book doesn't mean I become the book. My house doesn't mean I become the house. Today we have become that also. How? Because of mentally identifying with that, saying, this is mine, this is mine, this is mine. But what if we say this is mine? Hitler writes in his book, autobiography, Mein Kampf, in that my story. In that my story, he says, repeat a lie 10 times, you will start believing it as truth. Don't try it. We have tried it any number of times and we have become now. Whatever we are now is because of that. repeat a lie 10 times, you will start believing it as true, not the other person. Please understand, when you repeat a lie, who is believing in that? After a while, that person starts believing that it is the truth. What is a lie? Subject object distinction. Without understanding the subject object discrimination, without understanding the subject object distinction, becoming one with that is getting involved. Opposite of that is practice sakshi bhava, practice witnessing. And what is witnessing? The corresponding thing interacting with that corresponding. I have nothing to do with it. Anna interacting with Anna. I have nothing to do with it. Annam interacting with Annam means what? Food interacting with food. For 80 years, you cook food. One day you will be cooked. Yeah. That is Annam interacting with Annam. So that is interacting with that. I have nothing to do with this. This is called Sakshi. You know that there is something that is happening. You know exactly what is happening. You understand exactly what is happening. But you have nothing to do with it. Is Sakshi. Are you able to follow? In fact, your understanding will become better and better only when you are able to practice witnessing. Only when you are able to practice witnessing, your understanding becomes better and better. And people ask this fallacious question. What is the fallacious question? The fallacy. The wrong question. What is the wrong question that everybody asks? How to experience the experiencer? How to experience the experiencer? To that question, you have to ask, with what the experiencer will be experienced? இதுக்குதான் சார் ஆத்மபோத மாதிரி புக் எல்லாம் படிக்கவே கூடாது. Simple things, you are very simple, straightforward things in life. Why are you playing with words and complicating it? How to experience the experiencer? With what you will experience the experiencer? There is no instrument with which the experiencer can be experienced. How to be a king? How to be a king? How to be a king? The only way is becoming. The only way of being a king is by becoming the king. Only way of is by becoming. And becoming means practicing something. What is the practice? Practice witnessing. You don't require a proof. We have a few analytical process which I will continue in the next class also. Don't worry. In the how to practice Sakshi Bhavan Pratika, there are methods. I just spoke about one today, which is subject, object, and neti. Idunodeya extension work. There are something that is more to it also, which I will continue in the next session also. Witnessing means independent. Rajavatsada means it is independent. Sakshi means independent. Independent, the Sanskrit word for independent is Swatantra. The Sanskrit word for independent is Swatantra. Yeah. You becoming being a Sakshi means becoming independent. Swatantra means, independent means to recognize it doesn't need the help of an instrument. That is Swatantra. The body, mind, intellect is not Swatantra. They are not independent. Why? Because you know your presence only through the body, mind, intellect interacting with another body, mind, and intellect. Only when interaction happens, you recognize your presence. So, for you to know that I exist and for me to know that I exist, I have to interact with you. For you to know that you exist, you have to interact with me. In the mutual interaction, we help each other to say, okay. This is dependent existence. Sakshi means independent existence. What is independent existence? It doesn't need an instrument to recognize itself. Where body, mind, and intellect is not there, as in deep sleep, you don't recognize yourself, do you? So, to recognize yourself, you need a body, mind, and intellect. That is why we are so attached to the body, mind, and intellect. Because if the body, mind, and intellect goes, the ways of knowing goes, the ways of identity goes. When you identify with the real subject, when you identify with the true subject, when you identify with Brahman, what happens? When you identify with Brahman, when you identify with reality, what does it mean? Becoming the subject, and that subject doesn't need any object. Rajavatsada. Upanishadic example this is. The Upanishad quotes. Yajnavalkya says this to Maitreyi. Like a king, Maitreyi. Like a king. Like a king it is. Like a king it is. Subject is always different than object. Subject is always different from object. Example. Eyes see everything except itself. Tongue tastes everything except itself. Yeah, you can't taste your own tongue. Correct? You can't. Don't try, yeah. The eyes cannot see itself. Okay, it's very okay. Take a very simple example. You can never dial your own number with the same number. Correct? Dial your own number. Take the phone and dial your number. என்ன ஆகும்? அவர்தான் யார் அங்கதான் phone expert உட்கார்ந்திருக்கிறார். மனோகரன் என்ன ஆகும்? You dial your own number, what will happen? Always engaged தான். Or you can never dial your own number and answer. அவ்வளவுதான். It's as simple as that. The subject is always different from the object. Only because of the difference it is able to experience. Therefore, all experiences is otherness. All experiences through instrument is the other experience. Brahman is not the other experience because it doesn't come through one instrument. Rajavatsada. இதெல்லாம் திருப்பி பண்ணினே இருந்தா அதுக்கு பேர் practicing Sakshi Bhava. If you keep doing this analysis again and again and again, you will develop witnessing. You will become a Sakshi. I'll explain all this in the next class also a little bit. I'll elaborate all this in the next class also. So the comparison is Atma, Anatma. The comparison is Atma, Anatma. What is Anatma? Body, mind, intellect, waking, dream, deep sleeper, Panchakoshas. All this is Anatma, the non-self. What is the self? Previous verse, he said it is Sada, Sarvagata. Sada, Sarvagata means one property. What is the first property? Inga body, mind, intellect, Panchaputas, Nusana Madri, Atma he is describing. What is it? It is Sada, Sarvagatam. Always, all pervading. The second attribute here is that with the Sakshinam Rajavat. Like the king witnessing. It means the king is supposed to be a witnesser. If he is involved, then he is not a. Then he is not a king. Rajavat Sada, like the king. So what is the second attribute here? The second attribute here is witnessing. And what is witnessing means? Knowing what is happening, understanding what is happening, but recognizing that you have nothing to do with it. That is witnessing. Witnessing na pathile irundha enna nadakradune theriyalana, that is not witnessing. What is witnessing? You know what is happening, you understand what is happening, but you also know that you have nothing to do with it. Seriya? This is called Atmanam Rajavat Sada. With this, we have partially concluded verse number 18. Next class, we will continue with verse number 18 and then we will move on. A few clarifications. Take up the few clarifications. Ignorance is attaching to Namarup. Okay, correct. All pervading, correct. Happy Teachers Day. Oh, thank you. Witnessing, like renunciation, is an effect. Yes, it is an effect. Cause is discriminative analysis is the cause. Renunciation becomes the effect. Discriminative self-analysis is the cause. Renunciation, witnessing is the effect. Seriya? And then another clarification. Konja padingo. A break. Yes, somebody has to unmute. Yeah.
So the question I have is this. When we are developing the intellect through witnessing,
yes,
and are not established in our identification with the self.
Yes.
At that point, this witnessing leads to a certain sense of separation, both within oneself, also with others. So a person who has a strong witnessing aspect of Sakshi Bhava at an early stage, to them, he or she naturally disassociates from the world, which includes the people around them. But it is this very same knowledge which asks us to possess compassion or kshama. Now, compassion is empathy in action. And empathy is developed from your ability to relate to others and by putting yourself in their shoes, or sense of association level. So at an early stage, this witnessing ability and a sharpened objectivity may lead to unhealthy disassociation in the name of practicing witnessing by focusing only on yourself. How do we not fall a prey to it in the name of sadhana? And how do we witness or disassociate yet be fully involved or emotionally available to feel for others?
Correct.
It seems like you can only have one or the other.
Correct. The question is, how does one not become indifferent in the name of witnessing? In the name of witnessing, what Sri Ram is asking is, in the name of witnessing, how does one doesn't become indifferent, unconcerned, indifferent? It looks like always either this or that. It appears to be so, either this or that. That's what he is asking. Now, a person who is witnessing is one who there is a byproduct for witnessing. The byproduct of witnessing is compassion. Because he is able to understand the pain in a much more intensely, he is able to recognize and understand the pain of another because of the sheer detachment. Therefore, the very identification itself is a byproduct of detachment. Just as a doctor is able to understand the pain only when he is detached. When he sees as my daughter, he starts making mistakes, or he has to go to some other, he has to go to another doctor. So he is able to empathize, he is able to identify in the true sense, in an intense form, only when detachment happens. That is why we talk about detachment as a fundamental discipline. Because the empathy will be noble. The empathy will be noble. The empathy will be pure. The concern on the other is genuine only when there is an element of detachment. Detachment from what? Detachment from the welfare of, detachment from self-welfare. Detachment from what am I going to get? Detachment from the benefits of the interaction. Are you able to follow what I'm saying? So only when a person is detached from all this, the nobility, the purity, the sanctity of the empathy is multiplying. Therefore, that becomes the byproduct of genuine detachment. Generally, it doesn't happen in this way. Generally, it doesn't happen in the way that I am describing. Mostly, it happens in the way that Sri Ram is explaining, because they are detaching from the situation externally, but internally there is no understanding. Because of practicing detachment without discriminative self-analysis. Wherever witnessing or detachment happens without this knowledge, without this analytical knowledge, without this analytical understanding, indifference will be the result. You are correct. Most of them practice detachment only out of In fact, you cannot call it as detachment. You cannot call it as witnessing only in the true sense, because it is not backed by understanding. So when this kind of analysis brings about a detachment, the very ability of compassion is, sorry, the very purity of the compassion, number one. Number two, when you are detached, the longevity of the compassion. One is the purity. Second is the longevity. See, we all have compassion, but our compassion is so, the longevity of it is so short. There's no longevity. It's so short. Maybe for a few minutes, maybe for a few hours, maybe for the few, the few days. Like for example, when my father was in ICU, I called the relatives and said, don't come. Because don't disturb the man in ICU, don't disturb the other patients in ICU also. For a person who has got the heart attack, he is in the safest place, ICU. After 2 weeks, he will come home. At that time, he will be longing to see somebody. Please visit him at that time. But then what happens? That's what Sri Ram is saying. When the man is in ICU, the whole ICU will be crowded with people. Third day, nobody even. Why? Because the longevity of our compassion is, we don't have that. Our compassion is not the longevity. It's not sustained. Now, when you look at the guru, when you look at the teacher, his compassion is sustained long. It goes on and on and on. From where does it come from? From detachment. So not only the identification is genuine, the identification also has it is pure. Not only it is pure, it has a longevity to it. So in that sense, only a person of detachment would be able to have pure, sustained, noble empathy, identification.
So, எனக்கு ஒரே ஒரு டவுட் இருக்கு அரவிந்தன்
Yes.
uncle. So if now in your example of the father in the ICU, you say you are a normal person or a normal son and you are attached. Even there you are pure. There is longevity. You the day from the day one in the ICU till last day you will want to be there. There's genuineness. There's longevity. There's purity in from your side. Even though as a normal son, so there again he is attached as a normal son, but all these three things seem to be there: longevity, a certain sense of purity, a genuine want for his father.
It starts with that. Over a period of time, it starts diminishing.
If at all it starts diminishing, I feel it will because he's become mentally tired, because it saps away his energy.
Correct. Exactly correct. The tiredness, fatigue is because of what? You are correct.
Attachment.
Exactly correct. Yes. It is diminishing. I am not criticizing the diminishing. Vedanta is not criticizing the diminishing. Vedanta says, understand the cause for it diminishing, where it shouldn't be diminishing. Why it is diminishing? It is diminishing because of attachment. So it starts with being noble and pure and everything. At some point of time, anger, frustration, becoming a burden, experiencing a burden, all that starts coming in. Now that is because of what? Not that this person has turned ungrateful, not that this person is cruel. Now Vedanta is not saying that. It says it has started to diminish. You are losing your energy because of your attachment. So because of attachment, what happens? Where you are supposed to take care, which is what you are ought to do, you won't be able to do.
Someone needs to take care of you.
Yes, I need to take care of him, which is what I ought to do. Because of my own attachment, I wouldn't be able to
Do it.
I wouldn't be able to do because of fatigue, and then regret over it also. I'll feel guilty. I'll feel guilty. I will regret and keep doing all the Shraddha ceremonies with intensity, driven by worshipping the photograph every day, driven by a deep sense of guilt inside. Vedanta says, why? It is because of attachment. Starting with the nobility, starting with something pure, all that is there. But somewhere down the line, it gets
diluted.
It gets deteriorating. It starts getting corrupted. How to ensure that I continue to serve and not feel a burden about that? Only detachment can help you do that. Some people carry on because I'm giving you the other opposites also. Some people carry on because of other reasons. What are the other reasons? Supposing I'm going to get a big estate after he passes away, that will drive me to continue. That will drive me to continue. So, some other reason other than genuine compassion. Vedanta says, when other reasons other than compassion is driving your service, it is called selfishness. Correct? Genuine compassion, longevity is
an essential feature of it.
Longevity is so much needed to serve, and longevity can come only when there is detachment. Therefore, detachment becomes an essential, crucial factor to live life. A crucial, critical factor to have all the nobler virtues in life. All the nobler virtues in life, the longevity of it is determined by detachment. Therefore, detachment becomes very, very important. So, in that sense, we have to understand detachment first. Once I understand it is detachment that is going to keep me sustained in service for a long period of time, a genuine person who wanted to serve, what will be his primary focus?
To practice and work on his detachment.
Yes, to work on his detachment.
Because he knows that will help him serve.
Yes, because it is through detachment my ability to serve will be sustained for a long period of time. So here detachment is seen in the right sense. Since people do not see detachment in the way that Vedanta wants us to understand, we have a misunderstanding, because detachment and indifference always appear to be the same.
Similar.
Is similar. Just as tamas mimics sattva and ramadri. Tamas mimics sattva. Tamas and sattva from outside may look outside may appear to be the same, but they are not the same. That's why in Vedanta they say right from the beginning, develop a certain amount of detachment before you develop relationships and getting involved in life. Develop some detachment and then get into all this, because there is no need to fear this, there is no need to run away from this, there is no need to feel this as a burden. All this happens only when there is no detachment. So yeah, therefore, detachment is the primary
basis.
Correct. Detachment becomes the primary basis upon which all the nobler virtues are
built on.
Are standing strong. With this, I conclude. Detachment, the nobler virtues are seen, detachment is unseen. The roots are not seen, the tree is seen. When you see a strong tree, you understand a strong root. But the roots are not seen. No. So, that which supports is always hidden. The foundation of the building is not seen, but we say, wow, we look at the tall building and enamored by that building, and we understand that it is standing so tall because of
strong foundation.
The strong foundation. But the foundation is hidden. Since it is hidden, it is always missed. Since it is hidden, it is missed. Always. Vedanta says, understand what is it that you are missing. The strong foundation. Detachment should be the strong foundation upon which the nobler virtues of the tree, the fruits and flower. The nobler virtues are the fruits and flower. They are those that brings fragrance to life. They are that makes life beautiful and wonderful. All that is fine. It can be sustainable, pure and noble and longer only when it is supported by the unseen factor. What is the unseen factor that will support it? The detachment.
And one final thing that I had asked also was, what is the difference between Ipala? There's the modern usage of mindfulness and witnessing.
Yes.
Is mindfulness a preparatory stage for witnessing?
Yes. If mindfulness is understood as a detached way of looking at things. Looking at things as how a third person would see. What is mindfulness? Mindfulness is looking at things as in how a third person will look at it. How a third person will look at it? He will see it rightly.
As it is.
As it, exactly correct, as it is. How a third person will look at it? As it is. So it is a preparation. You can, if the word mindfulness is understood as seeing the events, seeing the facts, seeing the incidences that happens in life, as in how a third person would see it, then it is a preparatory stage. Then it is a preparatory stage. And vocabulary keeps changing, and vocabulary has to change. Then only we are moving, dynamic. Illana we have become fanatic to words. Vocabulary should change. There is but in and through the vocabulary, what is the concept that is being spoken about? Seriya? It is that.
Okay.
Is it okay, Sira?
Yeah.
Yeah. With this, we conclude for today, and we continue with verse number 18, this analysis next session also.